So you don't actually have to have that pointing up towards your mouth like you do with other.
Omnidirectional.
Right.
Like it will record every direction, and it's sick too because if you're like out in nature and you're having a chat and then you be quiet, it will automatically broaden its listening radius.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's does it need this thing as well, or is that just an adapter?
If you want 2 mics.
Right. Okay. Man, I'm just gonna get that.
And then you can also listen as well. You can't listen with it.
Right.
If you don't have that adapter.
How much is this bad boy?
20 or 30 bucks.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'm on it.
So I'm here with Benny Wallington.
Yep. Nailed it.
Yeah. And he's actually going to start up his own podcast. And your main jam at the moment's like, how do you even explain that? Alcohol mindfulness.
Yeah, mindful drinking. Vices. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so guiding people on how to drink alcohol in a better way. Sort of flipping the script on what an Aussie drinker is at the moment, which has a lot of negative connotations, binge drinking, aggression, people getting injured. Statistics in Australia are actually going backwards in terms of the way we need to go about. Yeah, so the World Health Organization's told the whole world that by 2025 we need to decrease alcohol-related harm by 10%. And the Australian statistics is like, now 1 in 3 people are affected by alcohol-related violence, when it was 1 in 4. There's 430 people admitted every day to hospital due to alcohol. And one of the most alarming statistics is that the intention for people to get drunk is going up. And that's gone up by 8%. I think it's around 45% now. So if you think about the whole thing with alcohol is our intentions are wrong when we go to drink, or we don't even think about what they are. It's like, a lot of the time we'll use language like we're going to get fucked up or whatever. And if you associate your language with your outcome, getting fucked up, the only time you use that kind of language is when you're in a car accident or something.
It's negative, yeah.
It's negative, right?
Super negative.
So but if you change your intention to, I'm going to go out and connect with my mates I haven't seen for a while, and maybe it is to pick up someone from the opposite sex, but not make it all about that.
Or same sex.
Or same sex, sorry. Yeah. And not make it all about that. Then that's basically.
Yeah, you're really big on the language shifting in general. You said rather than mental health, we talk mental strength, because mental health comes with all that baggage as well.
Yeah. Definitely. I'm definitely a big advocate for shifting language. So David Silver is a footballer. Jason Silver is like modern day philosopher. Yeah. He talks a lot about how we can change our reality based on changing the words that we use.
Absolutely.
We can be the author of our own realities.
Yeah.
So massively on that. So if you use the word mental strength when you go into a conversation, people like to be associated with mental strength.
Yeah.
So you say mental health, people jump to, not me,
The first things that pop into your head are all the deficit models and everything that come with mental health. Like you've got depression or anxiety, whereas like I know mental health to be like mental wellness and like good shit, and like you're trying to fortify your mind, but it's just the social understanding and the social pressures are all based around like negative shit.
Yep.
So like language is the only way that we can shift that, and we've just got to pick words that don't come with the baggage.
Yeah, and not afraid to just fucking shake it up with your language as well. Like I know we're in a bit of a PC vibe at the moment with people worrying about treading on toes, but I think we've just got to establish what we want to talk about and stick to it, and potentially it evolves, but like be confident and don't let other people tell you what to do. And
I think I'm only just starting to get that confidence now, because early in the journey I'm like trying to please everybody, trying to figure everything out, but we're in like a global like marketplace or whatever you want to call it. Like everyone's watching and everyone's listening and everyone's got their different cultural biases and like all this shit going on, and you're never going to please everybody. So I'm an Aussie bloke, and like this is how we talk, and this is my culture, and this is everything, and like just owning that. And then if somebody doesn't understand it and they get upset or like whatever, like we can have that discussion and get to the bottom of it, have some understanding, have some connection. It's better to disagree and like have those real moments than it is to just like try to be perfect all the time and we're all fucking going mad because of that.
Yeah, exactly. And I think especially on social media, you've got the two sides of the coin. You've got people who are just being assholes for assholes' sake, trolls, whatever they're called, and then you've got people who just constantly agreeing and just telling everyone how good they are, and that's so awesome what you're doing, and they don't actually believe it, or exacerbating problems in that instance. And I feel like that can be
a good example of that. The kind of people that are like, they're really, really passionate about mental illness, and they'll be like, mental illness is just a disease, and it's like it's a real thing that I'm suffering with, but it's like really you're just building up this, like using language to create a reality, like you said, and we're creating this image of like us all suffering and having all these problems. Whereas if we do what you do and talk about mental strength and talk about how we can fortify ourselves, then you get a totally different reality. But that's sort of what you're talking about.
Yeah, and you want people to be honest, and which is really important, and to reflect and look at life as, I mean, what's going around at the moment a lot, which is fantastic, is growth versus fixed mindset.
Yes.
And so
that's Carol Dweck.
Carol Dweck, yeah, amazing. Yeah, she's got a book. It's really cool. And those principles about shifting your mindset, and it's not about you need to nail. I think she's got 8 principles in that, but you don't need to nail all of them, and you don't need to have a growth mindset about every single thing. But it's about identifying where you can improve, where you can optimize your life, and then having a go at doing that for a small chunk. Because I think we can look at celebrities who seemingly have the perfect life and everything works out. None of them do, for starters.
Yeah.
But look at these lives that we want to try and attain and try and do too many things at once.
Yeah.
So yeah, if they're especially coming up to now, we're coming up to New Year's resolution time. Don't just make a New Year's resolution at 11:30 when you've had 10 beers that you're going to do X, Y, Z. Start thinking about it now, and actually, what things do I need to put in place to action that?
Yeah.
And the big thing for me is being mindful and being reflective on your behaviour. And you don't necessarily need to radically change your behaviour on the 1st of January. Keep doing what you're doing, but reflect on it and see how that behaviour serves you. And if it doesn't, then work on ways to shift it.
What was that thing you were saying about how we drink and that new insight you had? Like you had the 4 drink,
yeah, the 4
drunk,
things. Yeah, drink, drunk, regret, forget. And then you actually jumped to the realization that a friend of mine had, which was suppress.
Yeah.
So it's not forget, it's suppress.
Yeah.
And that's so much more powerful. And we were talking about that's a real punch in the guts to people, because when people stand up and say, I do suppress that vibe. So I think to explain it a bit further, it's we'll go out and get drunk on a Saturday night, we'll feel bad on a Sunday, whether that's anxiety, whether that's whatever, the hangover of death. And then by the Wednesday, when you've said on Monday and Tuesday when you're at work, I'm never drinking again, Wednesday you're back to being, superhero again, and you've forgotten about what you did that last weekend.
Yeah.
So by being mindful and reflecting and going, oh, okay, here's the things that I did, and picking it apart a bit, then you can shift the way you act the following weekend. And then that's where the growth mindset stuff comes in, because you're incrementally shifting those habits.
Yep. Instead of just sweeping everything under the rug and just creating this huge mess and never addressing it.
Exactly, which is unfortunately part of the Aussie way, in a way.
Yes.
It's when it comes to drinking anyway. I think it's funny when you travel as an Australian and go to
kind
America
of embarrassing.
or something. Depends on how you look at it though. Like, because I was a young Aussie traveller in the world, and people saying like, oh, you guys, like in particular North America, oh, you guys are Aussies, you can drink.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, fuck yeah, we can. And then you live up to that, which ends up getting you in trouble.
Absolutely.
So I think there needs to be it's like, yeah, we can drink. We love a drink. Let's have a bit more respect for drinking and what we're putting into our body, and let's do it in the right way. And drink responsibly. People don't really understand what that means, and even the alcohol companies are ticking a box to an extent. What we need to do is drink mindfully, I reckon, which is, again, accountability and consideration. Responsibly is a bit like...
It's a little bit more nuanced than just one standard drink or 4 standard drinks or whatever that you want to...
Exactly. Yeah, and there's a flaw in the binging terminology as well, because if you go to your GP, if you have, I think it's like 3 schooners in a sitting, then that's counted as binge drinking, along those lines. Yeah. Most Australians will drink more standard drinks than that in a sitting, and the last thing you want is to be told you're a binge drinker, even if statistically speaking you are. But it's all about, my theory is that you can have as many beers as you want, which is what 101 tokens is.
Yeah.
You can drink as much as you want, but you need to reflect and say, did that serve you in the way that you wanted it to?
Yeah.
Why are you drinking?
Did I have a good night out with my mates, or did I create a whole bunch of new conflict and destroy a bunch of really, really valuable relationships?
Totally, yeah. And usually when people reflect on that, they go, oh, that's like, yeah, I probably need to address.
Well, didn't you say
triggers?
When you first did it, you even realised that, like, you thought you were going to be like sort of handle it pretty well, and then it didn't really go to plan?
Exactly, yeah. So the first year I did 101 tokens, I had 101 drinking sessions for the year. So a token or a session is a sip of alcohol right through to a full night out drinking with unlimited alcohol, and the rules are still well, they're not rules, they're more like guidelines, are still the same. And yeah, I ended up with 80% nights worth it, which was pretty good, I thought. A lot that weren't worth it at the start, because I was still in those same habits. And yeah, but the thing is, I was identifying what the triggers were, whether it was, and there's usually 4 pillars that I get people to identify, which is the drink, the food, the people, or the location. And if you look at a night out, and something's gone wrong, or even it's gone really well, but there was some parts of it that didn't work out the way you wanted, you can usually point to one of those 4 things that was the problem. And so it just makes it a lot easier to figure out how to shift your habits.
Absolutely.
And sometimes that can be really confronting, because especially when you assess the people, these can be people that you've been drinking with for 20, 30 years at the same pub and whatever.
And you go, all of a sudden, one of your best mates, you can't drink with them.
Exactly.
You know it always goes pear-shaped.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, I've had a lot of that, a lot of those realizations. I don't drink at all anymore.
Okay.
That's just my personal choice.
Yep.
Yeah. That's why I love Clinton's
Clinton sober,
non-alcoholic beverages.
Yeah. I know, and that's what I say as well. It's not for anyone who is drinking alcohol or wants to shift their habits. It's cool to join something like what I'm doing, because it gives you like a target and it gamifies it a little bit. But what I say to some people is like, it's all about whatever your vices are. It's all about what serves you. And as soon as something
like, you can do this with weed. Like, you can do this with any.
Well, people use my app for weed, for sugar, for coffees, for all these things. Yeah, because they're all vices to some extent. And yeah, literally that's it. Does it serve you anymore? Like, what purpose does it have in your life? And for me, alcohol still has the purpose of loosening up a little bit, building connections, you know, just getting together with friends I haven't for a long time. So yeah, but it's definitely not the same way it used to be, which was as a crutch, as escape.
Awesome, man. Thanks for catching up real quick.
No worries, bro.
He's about to start a life-saving shift. His first life-saving shift.
Yeah, my first one since far out, since I was 20. Yeah, almost 10 years. Yeah, so hopefully I save some people.
Awesome. He's coming up to Goldie for New Year's, and we'll record something a little bit more in-depth for you guys.
Awesome.